to the Mother Flutter podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Sawakis, and today I want to talk about dreams and how to decode your dreams and access your subconscious mind. So, what are your dreams trying to tell you? And what is your subconscious mind trying to tell you? I feel like everything juicy happens in the subconscious mind. And if you use the iceberg analogy to kind of define your subconscious mind, so the conscious mind is the part of the iceberg above the water that you can see, and the subconscious is the part below the water that you can't necessarily see. And our subconscious mind really is what forms our beliefs, our behaviors, and it kind of rules our lives in a sense, which can be really frustrating because it's not as easily accessed as our thinking conscious mind. And it can be the very thing that, holds us back or, creates self-sabotage or keeps us in these like loops and behaviors that we want to get out of. And we don't understand why, because we consciously want to change, but it's our subconscious mind that's kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes. And when we can access our subconscious mind, which I'll talk about, through dreams and other forms of therapy that also use the subconscious mind, we can start to unravel some of that and look at it and heal it and, so create some awareness and ultimately, create change. So a little bit of background, I've been studying dreams and decoding dreams since I was 11 years old. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but I think my mother, bless her heart, knew that I was a weird child. And so on Christmas, the year I turned 11, so 2001, she got me two books for Christmas. One was a dream interpretation guide dictionary, and the other was a birthday astrology book. I still have that one. The dream one I had up until a year ago, but it got moldy and I had to get rid of it. But that's okay, because we're going to talk about why, ultimately you are the best authority for decoding your dreams instead of, professional dream interpretations. And we'll talk about how to do that and how to, kind of teach yourself. I have cat hair on my lip. But yeah, so our dreams are really like a free way to access our subconscious mind. And, we can really learn about what's going on down there to, free ourselves from the shackles of our trauma loops, self-sabotage, and, we'll talk about how to remember our dreams, because I know that there are many, many times where I wake up and just instantly forget them. And I have developed some, keys that are helping me remember my dreams on a daily basis that I'll share with you. We're going to talk about how to decode them, different ways and, tools that you can use, and ultimately how to become your own authority on your dreams and your own subconscious mind. And, different tools that you can use as well as you kind of discover what you like and what works and all that. So something I found really interesting, I just read it in Megan Watterson's book called Mary Magdalene Revealed, which is blowing my freaking mind. I want to do a whole podcast episode on, or even series on Mary Magdalene. What we're told about her is not true in canonical, Old Testament, New Testament. Anyways, something I learned from Megan Watterson, the author of that book, is that there's many indigenous tribes that actually don't differentiate between dream states and reality. And I thought that was so interesting because, who's to say really what's real and what's a dream? And, you kind of start thinking about for instance, have you ever had an experience where, you have a dream and it comes true? or you have a bad dream about somebody in your life, and then you contact them like, oh, hey, I had this bad dream about you. I just want to check on you. And it turns out like, oh, yeah, they actually have some stuff going on. And they're like, yeah, I've been really stressed out and I'm actually kind of like going through it. And it's, the dream world is giving you that intel and information, which is really fascinating and like kind of incredible that our bodies do this and have so many different ways, to communicate that we often disregard and discredit. But we also, there's a lot of, even though we don't necessarily as like a Western culture share that same value of, what happens in the dream world is just as valid as what happens in like our waking life or what we refer to as reality. But we have all these sayings that do kind of like support that. Like if you can dream it, you can do it, or, thoughts become things. And I think we've all experienced levels of that kind of thinking. So I just think it's, dreams and our subconscious is like really worth exploring, especially because there are so many, different types of therapy and healing modalities that work with the subconscious mind, that are validated. And dreams are just something that, we get and do for free every night. And I feel like we just overlook dreams in our culture as this like sort of weird, like jumble, nonsensical purge that our brains and our bodies are doing. But dreams and dream work has been studied and respected, not only in psychology, not only in Ivy League, psychology programs, whatever, but since like ancient times, like ancient Egyptian mystery schools and, pre-Christianity. So I want to get into all that later in the season because I've been really enjoying this rabbit hole of learning about like pre-Christianity. I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. I believe in God. I'm not anti-religious. I just have, some issues with several edits and omissions that, the Bible has made that are, I guess, I don't like politics with my religion, but not anti-religion, Anyways, okay, we're getting sidetracked here. So I've been working to heal from some pretty severe PTSD, not the worst that, people would experience, but definitely something that was interfering like with my daily life. And I've been working on, healing that for like 15 years now. It's kind of when I became aware of it and started with talk therapy and several other therapies, which I've gone into in previous podcast episodes, and I will go into a little bit in this one. But I do think talk therapy is valuable. It's also like been the least valuable of the therapies I've tried, but I still think it's like valuable and it's a good practice to have. So the most effective therapies I've tried all work with the subconscious mind, which, as we've been talking about, dreams are a direct, free way for us to access that subconscious mind and place of ours. So EMDR, just kicked my ring light. You can probably see it in my little, all right, getting off track. Okay. So EMDR, it stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. This changed my life. Absolutely amazing. And it's literally mimicking like a waking dream state, like an REM sleep cycle, except you're awake and you're reprocessing memories so that they hold less power over you. And yeah, so it mimics like REM sleep cycles via bilateral stimulation. So, the woman that I have worked with would just hold a finger up, and I follow her finger. And I swear to God, even though my eyes are open, I kind of like fall asleep. And just like in a dream, when she like wakes me up by, speaking or breaking the bilateral stimulation, sometimes I'll be in this like dream state and I'll completely forget it. Just like when you wake up and you can't remember your dreams. It's really wild. And EMDR made just like a night and day difference in terms of like flashbacks or, having oversized reactions to things. And I really highly recommend it. Once I started doing it, it was almost like these things practically disappeared. It was really helpful. And basically with EMDR, when you're going into this like waking dream state, you are essentially going back in to traumatic memories and like reprocessing them and kind of changing them so that they're less powerful and changing your reaction to them. And the women that I've worked with that do this EMDR therapy would always tell me, hey, after we're finished, pay extra close attention to your dreams in the next few nights, because it's going to be related to, the stuff that we worked on, and you can, get these golden nuggets of information from your dreams and from this process. If you're interested in EMDR, you can visit emdria.org and find a therapist in your state. You can just search by state and insurance, and you'll find qualified EMDR therapists that you can see. And you don't have to go in person. You can do it virtually, which is, I've only done it virtually and had great success with it. Equine therapy. How does horses help you? How do horses help you access your subconscious mind? It seems really weird, but working with horses also is one of those things that just absolutely changed my life. And you can't lie to a horse. It's really incredible. If you fake it and show up inauthentically, for instance, say you're happy, you're fine when you're actually sad and upset, they're not going to cooperate with you. It's actually pretty funny, and they're repelled by inauthenticity, and they don't assign value to emotions in the way that humans do. Like, oh, this I feel sad and that's bad, or I'm happy and that's good. They just value authenticity. And I think that, as humans, we have a lot to learn there. And as a Sagittarius, which represents, the centaur, half horse, half human, I can relate to this because my tolerance for bullshit has gone down tremendously. And I also struggle to cooperate with liars and fakers. Anyways, it happens. Sometimes you have to be inauthentic to survive. That's a thing too. So anyways, working with horses in a therapeutic setting, it really like forces you to feel your feelings and just be radically present, radically authentic. And with that comes some, pretty accurate insight into where and how your subconscious is actually running the show behind the scenes and in your waking life. Speaking of horses, guys, this podcast is brought to you by the Horse Link. Now, this organization is the only equine therapy organization that I have worked with. I have toured others, and this one is just by far the best, the way they treat their animals. It's on such a beautiful property, and they really are just legit. Too legit to quit, in fact. Honestly, though, the equine learning, equine therapy programs are absolutely magical. Every time I go, I leave feeling like I took a bunch of tranquilizers, but I didn't. it's actually just a natural high from being around these incredible animals and facilitators and on this beautiful magical property. This truly the land, even just like the land itself, there was crazy fires out in Bastrop where it's located, I believe in 2011, and somehow they stopped right at the line of this property. Really incredible stuff. The director is just a gem. They offer scholarships. They work with individuals, businesses. They host beautiful events where you can go and have a great time and eat amazing food and donate and help people. They are constantly just like giving back to first responders, recovery programs, and scholarships for individuals, which is how I initially got into the program. And it's just outside of Austin, Texas, about an hour outside Austin, and you can visit thehorselink.org for more info. They're hosting workshops year round, and they do self-care Saturdays if you just want to like go check it out for a day. But highly, highly, highly recommend for anyone who is interested in just cleaning up their BS, becoming better, and really just working with some amazing animals out in nature. All right. So I also want to talk about psychedelic assisted therapy. And I always, want to say this carefully because this is not for everyone. None of these things are going to be for everyone. And obviously, I'm not speaking from, a medical professional point of view. These are strictly my opinions and my personal research and lived experience. So please take everything with a grain of salt and don't get medical advice from a lady on YouTube, generally. But psychedelic assisted therapy, again, stressing, the therapeutic and guided aspect to this, when done in a safe setting with these guidelines in place, can really, pull up the depths of your subconscious mind and, the lies we tell ourselves and, the repressed memories and where we need to really, heal and clean up our bullshit. Now, in the best case scenario, you also want to be integrating. So, following up, taking notes, recording these insights, and, working with someone to help you integrate to actually do something with these insights in your waking life. So all this to say that all these therapies allow us insight into our subconscious mind, and they're wonderful, right? But dreams give us this same access every single night for free. They're literally the movies and the stories of our subconscious mind. And like movies, or any story, they use symbolism and metaphor and figurative language. And all it takes is just a little bit of practice in, decoding these things and, working with and sharpening your intuition and just using a few tools to help you remember and start to trust your instinct. So step one, this is my process for how I call in and remember and then record and decode my own dreams so that I can, apply this knowledge to my waking life so that I don't have to, be doing all these expensive therapies all the time. And I can just use my own dreams to look at this stuff and take accountability for it. That's not going to sell it, but hear me out. Okay, step one. I call it in. So I started saying this out loud before psychedelic assisted sessions. It just kind of came to me. I don't know if I heard it somewhere, but I think it just kind of came to me. And I've started doing it at night when I'm going to sleep. And I just say out loud in a whisper, I say, let me see what I need to see, feel what I need to feel, and heal what I need to heal. Kind of like a little prayer, just, calling it in. I feel like when we say things out loud, there's a lot of power in that, to just thinking. That's why spells are spoken and not thought. So I call it in, number one, and I use that phrase. Let me see what I need to see. Let me feel what I need to feel. Let me heal what I need to heal. And then step two is I notice it. So this is one of those things, I've experimented a little bit with lucid dreaming. And this is not going to be about lucid dreaming, but basically noticing when you're dreaming, it just kind of like turns on that switch to like tell you, hey brain, like pay attention. Like, so we're dreaming now. So you can be aware of it instead of just going straight into your subconscious mind, falling asleep, waking up, and then just like instantly the, slate is wiped clean and you forget. So just like noticing it, like even when I take a nap, I'll notice when my mind starts to drift and go into that dream state where, my thoughts get a little weirder and you're just in that like in between space, where you're not so much like having thoughts, but the thoughts are kind of having you, like they're taking you on a little journey. God, I hate that word, but you know what I mean? And I think just like noticing that and identifying it, like, hey, this is a dream, helps to start like encoding the memory, because it can be super hard to remember our dreams. So like, okay, step one, call it in. Step two, notice it. Step three, recite and recall. Or I guess it should be recall and recite. So most nights, we have like several sets of dreams per night, because we have several REM cycles. And so if you wake up in the night, like I do often, I'll wake up maybe once a night, maybe twice. What I'll do is I'll take a minute to just like recall the dream, and even just like kind of whisper it out loud. Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, this is what happened, but just like some keywords like, okay, whale, restaurant, small farm. That's usually enough for me to, again, just like encode that memory and tell my conscious brain, hey, remember this. This is important. Remember it. And just to transfer it from subconscious to conscious, I recall it. Okay, whale, restaurant, small farm. And I'll just say it out loud just to like bring it into this reality. Step four, you could also jot it down if you don't want to like recall it right away. You could have a journal right next to your bed where you jot it down. I don't see myself jotting anything down in the middle of the night because I can just fall back asleep so quick. But if that's something you could try if you don't want to say it out loud and recite it. So step four then is to record and decode. So I do morning pages every morning for like several years. It's basically just free writing, free journaling. Julia Cameron, author of The Artist's Way and Creativity, Fairy Godmother / GOAT, coined this term. And basically it's just you free write about 3 pages every single morning just to get stuff off your head, kind of set the tone for your day, and organize your thoughts. It helps me a lot. And this is when I will jot down my dreams. And so the first thing I'll do is just like, again, record those keywords, just get them down. Because even if I say it out loud, sometimes I'll forget, and I'll be sitting on my couch where I do my morning pages, like, God, like, what was that dream? What was I was just thinking it. Like, I just had it. I remembered in bed. So I just try to jot down again those whale, restaurant, small farm, just so it's there on the page. Now it's physical. Now you've encoded that memory out loud, and now it's on the page, so it's a record. And then I kind of break it down, right? So the first thing I will write down is like the emotions and how I felt in the dream, because I think that that's important. So when you're reliving it, like, what is that gut reaction? And I'll take the gut reaction, and I usually have an idea of what it means based on that, and probably because I've been, studying this for 21, 31, over 2 decades. Wow. I've been, studying dream interpretation and symbolism and metaphor and all that. He said an English degree would never come in handy, but tell you what. So anyways, I trust my instinct, and I really I would encourage you to trust your own before looking up interpretations or asking ChatGPT, because these are your subconscious movies. These are not ChatGPT's subconscious movies. These came from you and your memories and your lived experience and your bed and all of your stuff. And so traditionally, there's, certain meanings to certain symbolism. Like water often represents emotions. It can also represent abundance, and not just money, but just like the flow of resources, which can mean, food in the fridge, a place to live, all, clothes on your body, blah, blah, blah. Beds represent rest. Hair can represent, beauty and self-image. These are general, symbolic interpretations, just to kind of give you an idea. Big cats often represent, power, or, regalness, can be survival. School, often represents work and, bureaucracy. Car can represent travel, and not just literal, but getting from a point A to point B in our lives. With school, I have this reoccurring dream. Just to give you an example, I have this reoccurring dream. It's kind of a nightmare. It's not like a full nightmare, where you're sweating, wake up crying. I don't have those anymore, thanks to EMDR, equine therapy, and psychedelic assisted therapy. Well, maybe I'll have one once in a blue moon, but very rarely. So it's more just an annoying nightmare, like a stress mare, I guess. And it's where I'm back in high school, or my high school contacts me and is like, hey, you still need 2, and I'm an adult, and they're like, you still need 2 classes to graduate. And I'm like, what? I already went to college. I have a job. This was, over 10 years ago. God, probably long, 15, whatever, years ago. You have no power over me. And they're like, yeah, no, you still need to take these 2 classes. You owe us money, and you got to go back to school. And I'm just so frustrated because I'm telling them no, I have a college degree, and a job. I finished high school. And they don't even have the records. My record doesn't exist. And I feel like this is just kind of how I feel about life a lot of the time. It just, so much of it just feels like just red tape and bureaucratic nonsense, just taxes and owing money, to fake businesses and spreadsheets, and you have to just opt into all this shit and download all these apps just to exist as a person. And it's just so dumb and convoluted, and it just feels like being back in high school, and you're like, no, my record's there and I already like did this, and they're like, no, you have to do it again, and and you owe us money. And this is truly how I feel a lot in life. This is how life feels as an adult. It's just like never ending paperwork and like just like pointless stuff you got to do, and just so many like forced things you have to opt into, or it feels like that. And I feel like, we could really benefit from simplifying all of it. But this is, okay, it's beside the point. This is the world we live in. I do also think that this particular recurring dream, not only does it reflect, my frustrations with the world we live in, but it's kind of, I think, more about also, this culture of like the expert and the gatekeeper, and, dealing with imposter syndrome myself, and a hesitancy to speak on something that I've been studying since I was a literal child, like this, you know what I mean? I think it has to do with that, and feeling like, oh, I need to go through some red tape or get some official like permission slip, which is, I know in my conscious mind knows I don't need that, I definitely know that in my waking life, but I think that it's still something that my subconscious struggles with. So that's just to give you like an idea for how you can decode a dream using my recurring back at high school as an adult stress dream. Anyways, there's plenty of dream dictionaries out there, online and in bookstores, but I would encourage you not to use them and to use your gut and intuition first. Again, this is coming from your subconscious, and no one is going to know that better than you. And even any expert is like, they're really all just taking a best guess. Every doctor, every therapist, yes, they've got a lot of research, a lot of, experience under their belt in many cases, still all taking a best guess and don't know what it's like to live in your skin, in your head, in your life. So I think that before you look up interpretations, just ask yourself, like, what do I think this means? And go with that initial thought. It's probably that. So be your own expert, right? It's okay to look stuff up. You can, search X dream interpretation or symbolism of X. That can be helpful, but definitely just trust your instinct. And, your dreams are the movies of your mind and your lived experience, not anyone else's. And I think that when you trust your gut, like, and write down what you believe your dreams mean, then you are strengthening your intuition and your ability to be honest with yourself. And you can always look at interpretations later. Often with dream interpretations and dream dictionaries, there'll be like a few different interpretations offered. And usually you can read through them and then something clicks and you go, oh, that's it. So that's probably it. That makes sense. Okay, I think we're going to wrap this up, but to kind of just go over the main how to decode your dreams and access your subconscious mind and remember them. Step 1, call it in. I do this verbally out loud. I say, let me see what I need to see, let me feel what I need to feel, and let me heal what I need to heal. Step 2, notice. So when you're drifting off to sleep, notice when your thoughts are getting, kind of weird and kind of dreamy. Notice when you just start to feel yourself slipping into that dream space and go, oh, it's happening. again, just to alert your brain to notice the switch and like, hey, we want to remember this. We're going to start looking at this stuff. Step 3, recall and recite. So when you're waking up from your nap or waking up from your REM sleep cycle, just play it back. Like, oh, I was just dreaming. What was that? Oh, yeah. Okay, there was like an ocean and a surfboard and a cat. And then say it out loud. Just whisper it. Okay, ocean, surfboard, cat. And go back to sleep. I swear to God, it helps because it's just bringing the subconscious into the conscious waking life by verbalizing it instead of just letting it live in your head as a dream, as a picture. So recite and recall. Step 4, record and decode. I do the morning pages. You can keep a little journal, a notepad right next to your bed and do this. And that's it. So don't overthink it. Don't outsource your power. Outsourcing our power to experts got us here. And I think that, we've got a ways to go. So maybe we should try outsourcing our power into ourself and trusting ourself and our inner knowing. I think it's time to try that for more of us and a lot of us. I think we need to feel our way back and remember where we came from and who we are. And I think that it's going to help us build a better world. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Share this with a friend that, you think might find it helpful, or, share it with a friend who you're always telling each other your dreams. Share it with a friend who you've had the bad dreams about and gone, hey, are you okay? And they're like, oh, I'm glad you asked. Let me know how it goes. Let me know in the comments what your dream experiences are, and if you have any tips and tricks too that go along with remembering and decoding your dreams. All right. Thank you so much. Until next time. All right. Toodaloo, guys.